Have you ever stopped to reflect on the habits that day after day are making you waste the incredible potential that God has placed inside you? Habits that may seem small, but gradually are pulling you away from the purpose He has for your life. Many times, these habits go unnoticed, but their impact is devastating. Today, I'm going to show you 3 habits that are making you waste your life, and how the Bible warns us about them. The first habit that's sabotaging you is the habit of complaining. Maybe you don't realize it, but the habit of constantly complaining might be keeping you from the blessings God has prepared for you. Let's look at the example of the people of Israel in the desert. God had delivered them from slavery in Egypt, parted the Red Sea, provided manna, yet still the people murmured. In Numbers 11:1, it is written, "Now the people complained about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord, and when he heard them, his anger was aroused." The people of Israel, by complaining, not only missed the opportunity to see God's goodness in action, but also provoked His anger. Complaining is a form of ingratitude, and when we focus on what's wrong, we forget to see the opportunities and solutions that God has already provided. Now think with me. How many times do you complain about the things around you? You complain about your job, about people, about circumstances, and without realizing it, you're building a barrier between you and the plans God has for your life. Complaining blinds us to solutions and opportunities. It prevents us from seeing God's goodness in every detail and pulls us away from the goal. If you want to change your life, the first step is to stop complaining and start being grateful. Instead of focusing on the problem, focus on what you already have and trust that God is taking care of the rest. The second habit that's draining you is the habit of excessively comparing yourself to others. This is one of the most destructive habits because it not only steals your joy, but also steals your identity. When you compare yourself to others, you start questioning who you are, what you have, and end up forgetting that God made you unique with a singular purpose. The Bible gives us a clear example of how dangerous comparison can be in the story of Cain and Abel. In Genesis 4:1-16, we see how Cain's envy and comparison to his brother Abel led him to murder. Abel's sacrifice was accepted by God, but Cain's was not. Instead of reflecting on what he could improve, Cain chose comparison and, consumed by envy, ended up destroying not only his brother's life, but his own. Now think, how many times do you compare yourself to others and, instead of growing, end up sinking into frustration? You look at other people's success and feel like you'll never get there. But here's the truth. God has a different plan for each of us. Someone else's life is not the standard by which to measure your progress. The only comparison you should make is between who you are today and who God has called you to be. Constantly comparing yourself will undermine your peace, your productivity, your creativity, and even your own identity. God made you unique, with a purpose that only you can fulfill. And the third habit, which often goes unnoticed but is equally destructive, is the habit of blaming others. This habit is silent, but extremely harmful because it prevents you from growing and taking responsibility for your own life. Since Eden, we've seen mankind trying to escape responsibility and blame others. When God confronted Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, instead of taking the blame, Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. In Genesis 3:11-13, we see the beginning of this mentality of passing the blame to others. Blaming others is a form of stagnation. When you blame someone, you put yourself in a position of powerlessness, as if you don't have the power to change your own life. But the truth is, blaming others only blocks you more, because it prevents you from taking the responsibility necessary to grow and evolve. Now think, how many times have you blamed other people or circumstances for your situation? Maybe you're blaming your boss for your lack of motivation at work, or blaming people around you for the problems you're facing. But the truth is, as long as you keep blaming others, you'll never develop. The first step to changing your life is to take responsibility for it. Stop looking outward and start reflecting on what you can change within yourself. These 3 habits, complaining, comparing, and blaming others, are draining your life, stealing your peace, and pulling you away from the purpose that God has for you. If you want to live a full life with purpose and fulfillment, it's time to identify these habits and take action to change them. Stop complaining and start being grateful. Stop comparing yourself and value who you are. And above all, stop blaming others and take responsibility for your life. God has already given you all the tools to live an abundant life. The only thing you need to do is leave these destructive habits behind and walk toward the plan He has for you. Today, you have the opportunity to start living differently. God didn't create you to waste your life with complaints, comparisons, and blame. He created you to be a light, to live in peace, joy, and abundance. And the decision to change is in your hands. Be responsible for your own journey. Trust in God, and He will give you the wisdom and strength to transform these habits. As it is written in Philippians 2:14-15, do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault, in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky. God calls you to shine, not to waste your life with habits that pull you backward. The change starts now.